yeah, just to set some context, so everyone knows, Salesforce. Salesforce is bespoke, kind of evolves over time. Maybe it gets into an organization to solve a sales or customer success problem, and then all of a sudden it's a financial and accounting system. It's your EHR, and as Salesforce evolves and you start to use it for a variety of different things, context becomes really, really difficult. And the context that of how you used it 10 years ago that sat in your admin's head is very different than how you might use it today, or how your system integrator might have built and evolved it over the last five years in that example. And so what we're here to talk about today is kind of a different approach based on a modern Salesforce data dictionary providing that metadata context, so that you actually have that context as a strategic asset to inform things like, how do you run analytics and reports, to inform things like, how do you drive AI initiatives. And so today we're going to be going, we have Erick with us here today, so awesome for him to join us and share his experiences of working within the ecosystem with Salesforce, and also some of the key considerations that he has gone through, and probably many of you all have as well, to know that you might need a new approach to how you manage your metadata context in a modern data dictionary. Wow, a lot of words to start off there, Erick. We're going to keep going. So
Sounds great,
hopefully,
Brian.
yeah. So hopefully at the end of this, everyone will get a few nuggets you can take back into your organization. Logistics, we're going to keep it interactive. So I'm going to monitor the Q&A. Erick's going to provide all the expertise, but feel free to interject on topics to take us in a different direction as you see fit. And we'll keep everything to 20, 25, 30 minutes. So you get the key nuggets that you need. And then, yeah, you go back to the rest of your day and you make progress on your efforts.
Sounds
Love it,
great.
Erick. Yeah, I love it, Erick. So yeah, enough of me. I'm Brian. Enough of me. Erick, for those that don't know you already, a little bit of background, who you are and what informs your perspective for the audience.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Grateful to be here. So yeah, I'm Erick Raymond, and currently I'm kind of the director of Salesforce operations at BambooHR. Been there for about 4 years, but I have a 25 plus year history in IT, and the last 10 years have been spent in the business applications realm, overseeing business applications for different companies and having teams that run business applications. And Salesforce is like one of the big ones, right? It's one of the biggest ones at BambooHR as well in terms of platforms. And so, yeah, I've definitely learned a lot about Salesforce in the past, 5 to 7 years as I've kind of managed some of these teams. But there's a whole host of interesting, like, what's the word I'm looking for? But there's a lot of depth to a platform like Salesforce, and that we're going to be talking about data today a little bit, and some of the challenges that I've seen when I started at BambooHR, and even up to current challenges, and how we're approaching those, and why I'm excited about the Arovy data dictionary, because it really has been a game changer for us since we've implemented it. And it's helped us in a lot of ways. So we'll talk about those things today.
Yeah, amazing, Erick. And maybe just a quick, for those that don't know BambooHR, kind of what does the company do, and how are you using Salesforce? Super high level.
Yeah, great question. So BambooHR is an HR software company, SaaS company that builds software for small to medium-sized businesses, companies. We were pretty large company. I mean, we're not super huge, but we have about 1,600 employees, and we're growing every year since I've been here. It's been great. And we really pride ourselves in making software that's really easy to use. It's great for HR professionals, great for employees to be able to log into a software that is very user friendly, and you can get all the HR information out of that you need. So Salesforce is one of our key platforms. Like I said, I think our Salesforce org started around 2011. What is that? 15, 16 years ago. It's been a long time. But we use Sales Cloud. We have Service Cloud. We we do a lot with Salesforce, especially on the sales and CX side. So that's kind of how, just at a 50,000 foot view, how we operate.
Amazing. Super helpful. Appreciate the context. And maybe just for those that don't know, we're going to kick off a poll if we can. And while we kick off a poll, Arovy, Arovy.com, check us out. We help customers unleash the power of Salesforce. And key to that is metadata context, as Eric mentioned, to converting your metadata context into a strategic asset. Some of the customers we work with, products that are easy to use and deliver a tremendous value. And essentially, in terms of how it's relevant for today, we help operationalize a modern data dictionary to enable your teams to go fast, to enable your teams to secure their data, and to enable your AI efforts to have the key context required for them to be successful. And so check us out, arovy.com. We're on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. And with that, we'll see what happens with the poll and maybe set the stage of context. And so context is the key. This is not an Arovy thing. This is not a BambooHR thing. This is, if anyone's been reading the streams over the last 6 months, AI initiatives. The velocity has increased on AI initiatives. Everyone has one, or 5 or 10. There's a lot of MVPs and POCs, and the reality is many of these initiatives, the large majority, are never getting to production. And this stat has been kind of referenced over the last month or so. 95% of enterprises, their AI pilots fail to deliver ROI. Many of them never get to production, which is why they fail to deliver ROI. And the key driver to that is data context. Do you know what fields you're pulling? Do you know what those fields mean? Do the AI, should they use those fields? And so this data context and metadata context is a key enabler to support, again, your reporting analytics and your AI governance efforts that people are now coming back around and saying, wait, maybe we need to build the foundation and think about the foundation first. Eric, anything that you would add in terms of how you've approached these initiatives within Bamboo on your side?
Yeah, I think you called it out. I mean, we all know that data cleanliness is one of the key factors in a successful pilot, right? Or anything, a POC. We started a POC about a year and a half ago with Salesforce. And it was a fairly small use case. It was basically an agent chatbot that could respond and answer questions according to our Salesforce knowledge base. And we quickly realized that, it's the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. We had to go in and clean up a lot of our help articles just to make sure that they were up to speed, that they were accurate, that they contained the latest information. Otherwise, the AI was just spitting out what it learned from the bad data. So I think everybody that's gone through one of these has felt that. And thankfully, our use case was narrow in scope enough to where we were able to quickly get a handle on data cleanliness and refactoring a lot of that quickly. But you can imagine, if you take off a big chunk, bite something off really big, and go into a big AI project and spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, what a sad failure it would be if you get to the end and you realize that all the data you're pulling in is producing terrible results and ticking off customers. That's not what you want. So definitely a learning lesson there that you don't want to have.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And start small, bound
Yep.
it. I'm seeing the notes around some sound issues. Let me see if it's on my side. So yeah, maybe as we think about, and we did get your note, Nurjan. So we'll see if we can affect the sound.
Is it me?
I hear you fine.
Okay.
But why don't we go to the next slide? I'll put mine on mute here, and we'll go to the next slide. So, Eric, and I don't see any questions yet. But so why don't we go to the next slide? So in terms of like, what are the signs? So a data dictionary, this is not a new concept. What are, what are some of the signs? What are some of the triggers within Bamboo that made you rethink kind of the data context and the data dictionary?
Yeah, let me dive into some of these. These are really good. It was interesting because we've been an Arovy customer for a while now. Back before you changed your name, we were a Sonar customer as well, and we've been using your core product. And I know, in talking with your team, you guys were presenting the data dictionary to us, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we were like, no, we don't want to mess with the data dictionary. It's too much work. We were kind of anti-data dictionary just because, we'd had experiences in the past with trying to update, keep spreadsheets up and figuring out who owns what field. It's almost impossible. It's so big in scope, and you've got so many different teams that are layered in that you have to find out the field ownership and all that kind of stuff. So we were just we went about it a different approach at first, and we realized it was the wrong approach. But how we started dealing with all the fields in Salesforce is we just started going on these little field cleanup sprees, I'll call them. We would build them into our sprints, and we had these tech debt initiatives, and we'd be like, okay, here's a bunch of fields that we think aren't being used, and we would attempt to deprecate those fields or get rid of those fields, and then blow things up downstream. We didn't realize that there was a huge downstream impact to deleting some of these fields, even though it looked like they weren't being used. They were tied into flows, they were tied into code that's 10 years old. In one particular instance, we deleted a field that hadn't been used, and it affected our billing, and we weren't able to bill customers for about 4 hours until we solved it. So it petrified us. So then we were like so scared of deleting fields, we just stopped doing it for a while. And then what happened is last year, a couple of our Salesforce objects, account and opportunity, ran out of the maximum number of custom fields, which is a lot. That's 800 custom fields, and you're probably shaking your head. I was too. Like, how could a company have 800 custom fields? And so it's just kind of a little bit of not building in the right system, the right processes. And so we started approaching it differently. And yeah, like you've got this example here, four different definitions for customer. We had something where we had multiple definitions of the word term MRR, monthly recurring revenue, where people would create different reports from Salesforce data, and they all presented a different number. And then everybody would be freaking out, like, what's the correct number? And so it got really confusing. And so we started a whole data governance project that I won't bore you all the details with. But as we started getting into this, we started realizing more and more that a data dictionary is probably something that we would have to bite off. But we were still really worried about it because of just the level of effort that it takes to build a data dictionary, and the level of follow-up with teams and stakeholders. And then when we saw kind of how your company, Brian, had built in all these different tools, AI tools, to simplify and filters and all these different things to really simplify the process. I mean, there's still a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but we were like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And we can share this with so many other people across the company and get their input. But I kind of talked about the first one and the first two, and sorry if I'm rambling on here, but you do get to the point where you become terrified about deleting or changing a field, and then you're accruing massive technical debt. You're not innovating, right? Because you're not building the right things that you need to build. And we got to a point where, because we had hit that 800 max limit, when a team would request a new custom field to be built in Salesforce, we would have to tell them, sorry, we're out of custom fields, but if you can help us identify some fields that maybe you've asked for in the past that we can get rid of, let's work together as a team. And so we started building this initiative and coalition to kind of go about doing that. So that's kind of what led. Definitely, there was lots of different straws, but the straw that broke the camel's back, I think, was when we hit that 800 field limit, that we were like, we need to figure out who owns these fields. And we really need to start using a data dictionary. And so I think that's kind of what pushed us over the edge.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, and I remember talking about that example and the pain, the impact, right? Essentially, things come down to
Hmm.
business impact, and then once there's a triggering event that causes, bad business impact, then you prioritize, a more systemic approach that addresses the root cause. And it sounds
Hmm.
like the sound is great, and you didn't ramble on at all, Eric. Just so you know,
Okay.
you did amazing.
Okay, good.
And maybe the other thing that I would just point out, the key thing you mentioned around trust in the analytics. So think about 3, 4, 5 years ago, the business wants information out of Salesforce and wants reports and analytics to inform business decisions, and the business might go back to the Salesforce team and say, hey, give me access to build this report for me. Or and 2 years ago, the business said, I'm going to build my own reports, which caused a whole
Hmm.
bunch of and then when you pull different MRR fields, marketing team pulls this MRR field, sales team pulls this MRR field, and finance
Hmm.
team, then the reports don't add out. They
Yep.
don't, and then that creates trust issues on the manual reporting, which we know is a problem and still exists. And that
Yeah.
just gets exacerbated when you attach it to your LLM to build their own reports and vibe code their own analytics dashboards that
Yeah.
further again, you go fast, but further exacerbates the trust issue when you don't understand the data and which MRR field is the one that you're using
Hmm.
today, and how do you pull a revenue field that's not NRR as an example. And
Exactly.
it's stifling, right?
Yeah, totally. And this has been a discussion for a while now, but we hired some good people, and we're building out what we call a certified data model. It's right now housed in Databricks. That's kind of our data lake, and we have lots of different sources. Salesforce is a huge one that feeds the Databricks. But what we do is our data engineering and BI teams pull in the data they need from Salesforce into Databricks, and then they make sure that the data that we are looking at is correct, and then it makes it a lot more easy for people around the company to create those reports because they know that those have been certified or approved. They're approved data fields that they can use to build their reports. And so before it was just kind of the Wild West, and we'd always have to go back and do some research, like, no, which one is correct. And it was really frustrating, for a lot of people, including our core Salesforce team, that had to go in and help people understand which field to use. So
100%.
definitely making progress. Still got a lot of work to do here on our team, but it's exciting, and the data dictionary is a huge part of that. So
100%. And I think and if we can go to the next slide, I think the way you described it is certifying, the accuracy of the objects. Like these are the
mhm.
certified fields that are available for the business to go fast and build whatever
Yeah.
reports and analytics, and that and making sure that you're pulling MRR field 1 that's been certified and not MRR field 6 that someone did in a test mode and never got deprecated.
Exactly. Yep.
Um, and so we've got about 9 minutes left. I don't see any open questions as of yet. I'm glad. But the sound issues are all set. They weren't on our side. So yeah, if you have any questions or topics that you want us to explore over the last few minutes, feel free to put them in the chat. And while we do that, Eric, maybe what kind of key components? And I know this slide talks about a few things, but what are the key components that you think about internally when you think about a modern data dictionary? What are the maybe 1 or 2 things that drive the value in it, or the the value to the business as a whole, not just to you and your team?
Yeah. For me, I look at field ownership, because that's one of the biggest challenges when you have 800 fields, like for example, in a single object. Like, who owns those fields? What are they used for? And the data dictionary helps us understand who the field owners are. What tool is it that's maybe it's a connected app, or maybe it's something else that field is used for. Um, and so being able to quickly see who the owner is of that field, and or even the team or department, right, that uses that, That's huge. I really like the ability to update the definitions and descriptions using AI, but also to tweak it according to what Bamboo HR needs. So if we have these certain like certified fields, like I was talking about earlier, that we want to earmark, and maybe there was only like 60 of them in of the total of 800, but we can quickly call those out, and then we can filter off of those in the future and see which ones were certified and which ones and also when we need to delete a field, understanding what the downstream impact is, you know being able to tie all those things to just to work within Salesforce that's happening, whether it be, an object, a flow, Apex code, whatever that might be. That's what's made it so nice. And then also being able to share it with the company, share it with our stakeholders. Arovy makes it really easy to share out the data dictionary. And I know our data engineering team was really excited when the API came out, because they're just pulling that data dictionary data, metadata, directly into their, they built a custom data dictionary for their Databricks, and they just pull it right in. It's super easy for them. So they love it. Those are some of the things that we were just like, yeah, this is a must have.
Yeah, yeah, great call out. Yeah, each great call outs, and that's why I think the next slide is the data dictionary for the win. We've got about 4 minutes. We did get several questions that came in.
Okay.
Let me see if I'll pose them and we'll see where we go. From Anonymous. So if we can't go with a tool like Arovy right now, how would we even start building the actual data dictionary itself? I don't know, Eric, maybe before you had Arovy, like what were the
Yeah.
things that you did to try to do it yourself?
I mean, you can get some benefit out of doing a spreadsheet, I suppose, but it's just a lot of work. But yeah, I mean, start somewhere, right? And then the one nice thing is we had started in a spreadsheet before we bought this tool. And so what was awesome is that Rovi took that spreadsheet and imported it for us into the data dictionary, so we didn't have to manually key in any of that information later. So start with the spreadsheet. I mean, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you have nothing else, start with a spreadsheet. No, it's going to be out of date, as you add more to Salesforce and as you make changes, but you have to start somewhere, and that's what we see
Yeah.
most often as well. Um, let's see, we've got a few more from Natalie. Not really data dictionary related, but is there a tool to see what fields are not being used? Field trip doesn't seem to be available anymore.
Yeah. So the
Field spy.
the the
A
the
plug.
tool is there in Arovy. We use it all the time. The filters to be able to see which you can see percentage usage. I mean, the filters are there, absolutely.
Yeah,
So.
and yeah, the filter in Arovy specifically,
Mhm.
Natalie. So we show the field usage and population rate, those types of things. Um, and yeah, many
It's
folks
really
love
hard in
it.
Salesforce, isn't it, to find that data? I mean, it's rough.
The
That's
bear.
another thing. We're just wasting so much time trying to do this manually. Then Arovy simplified that dramatically by
Yep.
automating it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, check us out, arovy.com, or if you want a demo, or we may have some videos online, but here to help. Let's see. We have a couple more. You talked about the stuff that a lot. You both have talked about a lot of stuff that triggers the need, but now what? Now what? So you're here, you have the need. Um, I would say start, yeah, to
Um,
Eric's points. Eric, go ahead. Yeah,
I was just going to say, yeah. I mean, we didn't think we needed to purchase a tool initially as well. You've got to build that groundswell of support, right, within your organization. And sometimes it takes things to go a little funky in a way that you don't want with the data in your org for there to be like, oh, this is a solid use case. We better do something. But if you can, don't wait until something breaks. Start now. Like we mentioned, if you can even start building it in a spreadsheet, but get a demo of how the tool works. I think you'll be really impressed, especially with all the new AI functionality that really speeds up the time. The ROI is there. It took a little while to get everybody on in my team and my boss to see what's going on with this. But once we were able to make the business case, it wasn't that hard to get going. So
Yeah, 100%. And then we have one more here. Where is that place you'd start? Field ownership first? Yeah, Eric, so maybe talk about like the yeah, how do you prioritize,
for us, it was field ownership because, yeah, with we'd see these fields and we could see, the population percentage and stuff like that, but we didn't know who owned it, and so it required some, quite a few meetings. And I'm not saying we've like got all 800 fields, but we've got a big chunk of them already underway now. We know kind of who owns what. I'd say about at least half. And so we're making really good strides. We've only had the data dictionary for a few months now, but we're making huge strides. And so field ownership is really, really good. Also, field definition. What does that field do? Like, sometimes it's obvious by the title, but half the time I would look at a field, I'm like, I don't even know what that's supposed to do. So the AI feature in the data dictionary that lets you populate that with generic data is pretty accurate, but you can actually go through and update those manually as you need to as well.
Yep. Yeah, good calls. And maybe the other thing I would add, maybe in a reverse engineering approach, you may have AI initiatives that are coming or an AI project that, is supporting this business unit, sales or marketing or customer success. And those AI initiatives may require a subset of data. And so we actually had a call this
True.
morning. We had a call this morning and the team said that, it was a sales initiative and they were looking at accounts, opportunities, and contacts. So where to start from a documentation standpoint was accounts, opportunities, contacts, because that was going to, the certification of the fields within each of those objects was going to be how they would make available for AI project 1 and AI project 2. So you can do it a few different ways depending on how fast you want to go and kind of what the business needs right away.
That's how we started too when we hit our 800 limit. Accounts and opportunities were the two. And so we had to start on those.
We've just about the bottom of the hour. Do we have a couple of questions which we'll follow up with offline? Just want to be cognizant of everyone's time. Eric, last I guess closing remarks. So folks, leaving the call here today, what do they do first? Like what's the best next step?
Well, if you're experiencing some of these same problems that we mentioned on the call, then if you're not experiencing now, if you continue to grow as a company, you probably will be. If you aren't experiencing them, put some processes in place right now to address these. Build some processes so that you don't have all that tech debt. It's going to make it a lot easier than having to go clean it up later. But also start looking into what you can do to start building a data dictionary. And even if it's just one or two key components of each field that you're worried about tracking, you don't have to take small chunks. You don't have to bite off the whole thing all at once. So
Yeah, great call. Great call. Yeah, and I would just echo what Eric said, and there's a lot of resources out there, and kind of make some steps around it, whether that be getting your internal teams aligned for the need for it, or starting to do it yourself, or just identifying as a need. And obviously, Eric is a tremendous resource. We've got a great team over here at Arovy, here to answer questions and be helpful along the way, regardless of where you are on your journey. And if we can be helpful, let us know. And
yeah.
Eric, you've already been very helpful. Conrad, yeah, we'll follow up on the open questions offline. And Eric, really appreciate the time. Super cool of you to hang out and
Yeah.
carve out
Happy
time
to
to
do it.
yeah, share your expertise with the audience here. And have a great rest of the day. And we'll talk with everybody soon.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
All right,
Take
thanks,
care,
Eric.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.